everyone. Hi.
Hi.
I'm Amanda.
I'm Farina Jinara.
Yeah, I'm Jumlata Nadia. I'm Rosani Dawan.
Okay. Sorry late, but we have to proceed now.
Okay.
Today we will have a discussion about the communication.
Okay.
So before we start our discussion, I would like to briefly explain about what is a communication. So the communication is a process by which information is transmitted and understood between two or more people. So we can see that in our life, in every day, we have to communicate to each other, since there is no relationship without a communication. So other than that, a communication can be in the form of writing or oral or by sending the email. So Ms. Farah, can you explain to me how email has altered the communication?
Okay. Firstly, email. It is a preferred medium for coordinating work, which means that every order or task that needs to be done, it can be easy delivered. So by email, they don't need to like go to each of the staff to order like you need to be this, you need to be this. But by email, the organization can easily email then, and all the workers can receive the order. The next point is reduce some selective attention bias. So that means the leader of the organization can easily pass the information to all the workers. Biasness here mean like when the leader do not like one of the staff, he don't want to communicate with the staff. So by email, they can deliver to all the staff. And then the next point is significantly alter communication flow. That's mean like the communication flow would be really fast and so on.
Okay, I got your point, but I want to focus in the context of a relationship between employer and employees.
Yes.
Did you think that it is appropriate to notify an employee by email that he or she has been laid off or fired?
Okay. In my opinion, it is not appropriate for the organization to give an email for laid off or fired. This is because by email, the communication emotion is poorly. That means when the people receive the email, we don't know the emotion of the organization, like the organization mad or disappointed with his performance. He can detect the emotion of the leader. And then the second point is reduce politeness and respect. That's mean like it is not proper to send an email. It should be like in a form of formal letter, or the leader can face to face to the employer and talk to him about his problem, his performance before he can be fired or laid off. And then the last point is the email. Sometimes the employee can understand the message. So sometimes the message is cannot received like properly. The employer can understand what the message is all about. That's all.
Okay, I got your point, but in this era, we already know that everyone is using the technology in a wide range. So why people still refer to use a traditional style, such as by using a letter and so on?
This is because not all workers are alert with email. there are so many things that they need to be done, so they cannot check the email like 24/7, every second, every minute. The response of the email could be late.
Okay. So now moving on the active listening process and strategies. So Ms. Rose,
Yes.
can you give me a specific training activity that would potentially improve the sales people's performance?
Okay, before I focus on the specific training activity, I would
Yes.
like to explain on what is actually active listening process. Okay, active listening is one of the oral communication whereby I adapt from the Miss Shahada before. Communication is stand for a relationship between two or more people in order to transmit information from each other. So when we talk about listening, how can listening can occur is when there is one person talking and one person listen. If a situation that only one person talking, so how the information will transmit, so we need a listening process. Okay, so I will explain the three component or three necessary process in order to have an active listening process. Okay, the first process is sensing, whereby sensing is a willing for a person to listen any info from the other person. Meaning that from this process, the person need to postpone evaluation. Meaning that the person need to have a ready situation that he or she not empathize, consider whether it is a necessary information to listen or not. And in this process also, the situation need to avoid any interaction. I give you example. In order for us to have an active listening process, is it okay if we do the active listening in shopping mall? Of course not, because shopping mall is too noise, too many crowd of people, so it can have many interruptions in order to have a good active listening process. Okay, I will proceed to the second process whereby it is evaluating. Evaluating is meaning that we consider, we evaluate the info that we listen from the other people, whether the information is important or less important. And then from the evaluation, we can organize the info, maybe the chronology of the info, maybe the beginning of the story, the climax, the problem, and also the end. The end means that the solution that we can use to settle the problem that we listen from the people. And the last process is responding, meaning that we show some action in order to respond what we listen from the other people. So from the responding, we can clarify the message whether it can be used as a good info or not, and we can take the another steps in order to solve the problem or the issue. That's
Okay.
all.
Thank you, Miss Rose. So a very clear explanation. So, Miss Jumilatul Nadia.
Yes.
So nowadays we can see that our country there are many foreigners work here. So it leads to the miscommunication since they are coming from different cultures, from a different language. So do you think that is there any communication barriers that will be existed?
Okay, in my opinion, yes, the communication barrier will exist among the foreign employees with the local employees and employer. Okay, this is due to the three factors. Okay, the first factor is perception. Okay, this can be happen because of the imperfect perception process of both sender and the receiver. Okay, this can happen because of the sender itself will assume that the receiver might not understand what the sender try to communicate. For example, if the employer want to delegate a task to the foreign employees, the employer might think that they had to understand it since both of them use the different language to communication. Okay. For the other factors is language.
Alright, in language itself, it might be in terms of jargon. What is jargon? Okay, jargon is the word that will bring other meanings for other people, which is it relates to misunderstanding to other side. For example, okay, we take the foreign employees from Indonesia. Okay, if the employer ask them to take something from the employer car, but they might misunderstood it since in Indonesia they usually mention car as mobile, so that will be a barrier in the language itself. Okay, and the last factor is information overload. Okay, it is a condition which the volume of information received will exceed someone's capacity to get through it. Okay, as a result from this, it will make the people to overlook the information and misinterpret it. Okay, for example, if the employer give a long briefing about the task towards the employees, for example, like when the foreign employees first come to their work, okay, the employer might give instruction. They will brief about their work and task. But if the employee itself take a long time to briefing about the employee's work, so the employees might become boring and the information itself will be overlooked, and later they will forget the what the employer have mentioned before. Okay, that's all.
So we can conclude that communication is very important and it can be applied in our life, in a management, in a business, a relation with your friends, with your family, and actually people have to respect each other and use communication to spread a good thing, not a bad thing. Okay, thank you.